What's going on, guys? It's good to see you back watching another video. Testing Tuesday. I have with me another metal detector, and we're going to test this thing out today. I'm going to use the old red bucket. I'm sure you've seen some of those videos. If you haven't, I've done the red bucket on the Simplex, testing the two different coils on that. But today, specifically, I'm going to test the new NOKTA MAKRO Midi Hoard that is made for kids and young teens. And we're going to look at that thing in just a few minutes. So stay tuned, and we're going to talk about it in a minute, and we're going to test this thing out. What I really like about this new metal detector that NOKTA MAKRO came out with is they actually thought it through and said what would be important for a young child or a kid to have in a metal detector that's simple to use, fun to use, but yet very reliable and a good metal detector. And with a lot of research and a lot of time spent looking at other metal detectors and looking at how other ones were built, they came up with the Mini and the Midi Hoard. That's M-I-N-I and M-I-D-I. And there's a difference between the two. My son won this particular metal detector from American Digger Magazine Relic Roundup podcast. I was listening on the podcast and they had Delic from NOKTA MAKRO on the show. And I didn't know they were going to do this, but they were going to give away this particular metal detector. There's some things I want to talk about before we test this thing. I know this is probably going to be more of a lengthy video, but if you are in the market for a kid's metal detector, this is the video you need to watch, because I'm going to go over this thing thoroughly. I'm going to show you some cool things about this detector. And you may not get that on other channels, but there's a lot of pros of this thing. Number one, it is waterproof to 3 feet. And this is really awesome for my son, especially what we do is I love to go to our lakes and I take our snorkel gear and I take all the stuff that I go out there with my pulse dive and my Simplex. And now my son can take his detector and he can get in that water and he can detect with me. Mind you, he cannot go any deeper than 3 feet down in the water, but he's not but like 4 feet tall anyway, 4.5 feet tall, so he's not going to get real deep anyway. So for a kid's metal detector, that is excellent. 3 feet, that's a long way. So that is awesome. I commend NOKTA MAKRO in doing that. They make a waterproof detector and it's awesome that they put it in a kid's version. Very, very cool. Let's talk about the control box. The control box itself is really neat. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this baby on for you. It's got 3 buttons on the Midi Hoard. The Midi Hoard is made for kids ages 9 to about 13 or 15, something like that. But I will say this, you can extend this thing on out and it's long enough for me to use. I'm standing up, coil on the ground, and I've actually used this. So sometimes my son will say, hey Daddy, I'm gonna let you use it for a little while. And so I actually just lengthen that, right there up, and I'm metal detecting with his metal detector. So it can be used for a young child as early as ages 9 all the way up to teenagers, and an adult can use it if they really wanted to. It takes 2 AA batteries and they go in this little slot down here, and takes 2 AA batteries for that. What I want to show you now is with the Midi Hoard, it's got the small screen here, but I want to show you more importantly, you got these 3 buttons. We're going to turn the unit on. Over here you have these 3 squares. You have those 3 squares. That first square there on the left is for iron, and you can discriminate that out. Like you probably see where it's going off and it's showing, see it's showing something in the iron there. If that square is lit up, or that little rectangle, if it's lit up, that means that it is not discriminating that particular area of items. Then you have your mid-tones. Your mid-tones will be like your nickels, your rings, and things like that. Then you have your high tones, of course. You've got quarters and silver and things like that. And you can always hit this one button right here and it discriminates the iron. You can hit it again and it'll discriminate your mid-tones. So if all you're looking for is quarters or dimes or pennies or anything high tone, you can discriminate it all the way up, or silver. You can discriminate all the way up to there and you won't hear nothing else. Like I'm not, because it's big metal, that's why I'm hearing this. But that's really neat. So that being said, you can discriminate this particular metal detector. I don't believe you can discriminate with the Mini Hoard, but you can with the Midi. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to leave it like that just because it's really silent. But you can actually change your depth. You see that right there? You can change how deep or how sensitive it is, and the sensitivity level. It has 3 levels there, and I believe you can hold that in and it changes the sound. You see how it went down? It's got two settings. It's a high and a low. And then here's your battery indicator as well right here. And then here's your pinpoint function. So it's really accurate. This, I believe, is an 8-inch coil. So that's pretty awesome itself. And it's got that nice coil cover on it, that green color. My son, if y'all remember watching the very first video after my son got this thing, I took him to the park real quick, let him see if he can go find some stuff. And at the end of the video, I said, well, how do you like the metal detector so far? He said, I like it. He said, I just wish it was blue. so I doubt that's probably going to be an option that they're going to be able to do is different colors. But my son wanted a blue one, but it's okay. It was free to him, so he don't care. He don't really care at all. He gets out and digs a lot with it. It's got this little bitty arm rest here, your back rest. But this is what is interesting about this. Watch this. Again, it's made for kids, but it can be used for an adult too, because I got small wrists. I got small wrists as it is. I can lay my wrist in there, and it's cupped right inside that thing. So that's pretty awesome. But I can use this thing as well as a child. Now, this thing did come with a little rubber sleeve to go over here. I'll show you, I'll shoot a picture of that and let you see that, but Jacob don't use it, so we just took it off. But it's a little rubber sleeve. It goes over top of it. If you have kids with even smaller wrists, or if it's a little uncomfortable and they think they got to have something a little more with a little more cushion, something like that, it's a little rubber silicone sleeve, and it goes right over top of that rest. So that is also included with this model. What I really do like about this thing though is because it is extendable, is as my son grows, this detector will also grow with him. If you see here the markings, it has 1 inch, 2 inch, 3, 4, 5, 6, max 7. So max 7, but again, I can stand here and I can actually hold this metal detector, and the coil right now is on the ground and I'm swinging just like I'm using my Simplex. Okay, so I gotta mention the cons real quick. I only have one. Honestly, I only have one. And it's not really that big of a deal. I got big fingers, so it bothers me. Now, right here, this is a good thing, but a bad thing. Right there is a screw where you unscrew to take the battery out. And that's important to have that screw. But sometimes, because the screw is so little, it's so short, it's hard to get my fingers in there sometimes with that screw. And I've dropped it a couple times, about lost it. So, what I find it easier is, my son, he's mechanical anyway. He loves messing around with screws and building stuff, tearing things up with, building things, putting things together. So I just let him do it. So he just gets his little fingers in there, and he can reach in there and he can get that screw out. He can unscrew it, pull the screw out, change the batteries, and then he can put that screw in there and start it, and then get that screwdriver in there and run that screw on in. So it's not really a con, but it's a little bit of aggravation for people with bigger hands. Now my hands ain't as big as others, but if you got big hands, that little screw is going to be hard to maneuver and get in and out of there. But no big deal. I don't believe there's a way to use headphones with this. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself and I'll throw it in the corner up here and I'll show you where you put your headphones in yet. If any of y'all remember at all, this is my little red bucket, and it's got these little tubes in it, and they're set at 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, all that. I'm going to start out with the good old silver ring. This is the one I found with the striker out there at the flea market, and I'm going to put that in the 3-inch level mark, and we're just going to test a few of these. I just want to show you its basics and just how well it does perform. Just about right there is about where it's at. So let's turn on the metal detector and let's see what that thing will ring up. Alright, I'm going to show you all the control box. Alright, 5-inch level. It is showing as a mid-tone, but you can barely hear it. It knows there's something there, but now it's ringing up as iron. So 5 inches down for a child, I understand. That 2, 3, 4-inch level is about as far down as you're going to get a kid to dig. Now that's a high tone, and it's got all 3 bars down. I'm going to turn the sensitivity all the way up, see if it makes a difference. And it does. It's a tad bit louder, and it's showing a high tone, and it's showing 3 bars. That's probably as far down as you're going to pick up that silver ring with the Midi Hoard. Let's do the white gold class ring. We'll put it in at the 3-inch level as well. Now, that's ringing up as a low tone. There's a reason behind it. Because what does gold usually ring up? It rings in really low. So it's ringing up like as if it was a nail or a horseshoe. So makes perfect sense. I think it pinpointed it there. Let's see exactly where it is. Yep, it did. It rolled back down. It's right here. So it pinpointed correctly. Now I'm going to move it down to the 5-inch level and see what we have there. All right, so the 5-inch level, still showing iron, but I still get it at 5 inches. Let's get that pinpointing. Right there. Showing right here, and that's exactly where I have it. This is the mercury dime we've been using for these tests. I'm going to try it next. I'll put it at the 3-inch mark, see how it does. Showing that high tone. Let's see it pinpoint it. Right in the middle. Showing 3 bars down. Let's drop it down to 5 inches. Just trying to ring up a mid-tone. About losing it. I guess it's because it is so small. Still picks it up there as a mid-tone. Very super quiet though. Almost loses it. Now I probably can pinpoint and find it. It knows there's something here. It just can't give me a reading on what exactly it is at 5 inches. It is a little small mercury dime. So let's keep moving. For time's sake, I'm going to show you a quarter, and then I'm going to show you just a nail and just let you see what it shows. So here's a quarter. We're going to stick it in at 3 inches. Good high tone. Showing 2 bars down. Let's drop it to 5 inches. Showing a high tone, every once in a while a mid tone, but it's not as loud, so it means you know it's deeper. But you can still pinpoint it to there. So for this last test, I'm not going to try to, again, I'm not going to try to show you masking or anything like that. This is just a kid's metal detector. I'm going to show you a nail, just an old common everyday nail. I'm going to stick it in at the 2-inch mark, or the 3-inch mark here. Run that baby in. And then after that, I'm going to show you an old beaver tail style pull tab. Oh yeah, all day long. There it is. Now I'm going to discriminate. I'm going to hit this button right here, and I'm going to discriminate out the nails. Let's see how. I'll probably still hear it, just because it was showing a little bit of a high tone every now and then. But listen, virtually gone. So discrimination does work. Check that out. The beaver tail pull tab is right here. Let's check that. Mid-tone all the way. It's showing 1 bar down, and the mid-tone like a ring or pull tab. One last test. I am going to discriminate out everything except high tones. Let's see if we can hear that pull tab at all. Listen. Gone. Look at that. Nokta Makro made an awesome metal detector that discriminates out junk if you want it to. So wow, seeing the depth test of this detector is really surprising. And I knew it wasn't going to get down to those 6, 7, 8 inches. I knew that. It's not made for that. It's made for kids to get out there, get in these parks, get in the water with it, get on the beaches with it, find some cool stuff, get in the hobby, and then as they grow in the hobby, then they want to buy a new detector. Just like me, just like you. You started out with a simple machine, and then you worked your way up and you got what you have today. So what I really like about it is 3 buttons control the entire control box. That is super awesome. Super simple for a child, especially the age of 9 or up. I think there's only 2 buttons for the Midi Hoard. But the Midi Hoard, 3 buttons, simple as it can be. Can't get any simpler than that. My son already knows how to use this thing and work this thing, and does great with it. So extendability of the shaft, the accuracy of the coil, and its pinpointing, pretty awesome. And for a beginner's metal detector for a kid, I think the depth is just right, and it's waterproof. So hey, again, If you're interested in one of these metal detectors, you can click down in the description, check those out. You have that Mini Hoard and you have that Midi Hoard. $100, $120. Worth checking out if you really are interested. Your child's interested in digging with you. So get them in the hobby, let them learn how to metal detect, let them learn how to treasure hunt, and they might be hooked for a lifetime. Hope you have a good day. God bless. We will see you next time.